Hello, everyone. So today's podcast, I have a very special guest, and we're going to talk about it's never too late to break generational cycles. So I want to set the tone. Too many funerals, too many prescriptions, not enough healing. That's what finally pushed Mom Mitchell and her family to say, enough is enough. After losing family member after family member to diabetes, heart disease, kidney failure, and more, she saw the devastating truth firsthand. Chronic illness wasn't just bad luck, it was generational, it was lifestyle, and someone had to stop the cycle. At 40, Ma was diagnosed with gestational diabetes. At 69, she was still battling the disease, along with fatty liver, sciatica, and high blood pressure. But everything changed when she said yes to full body reset. Today, at 73 years young, she is truly aging in reverse. She's training for her second half marathon, reducing medications, reversing aging markers, and inspiring generations. You're about to meet the living proof that it's never too late to heal. Please welcome the woman who didn't just reclaim her health, she became the generational shift her family needed, Ma Mitchell. Welcome, Ma. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, feeling really good today.
Well, Ma, take us back to the moment when you and your family said enough is enough. What was it like watching so many of your family members fall to disease? And what made you all decide it was time to break the cycle?
Well, that was the time, seeing so many family members, friends passing away or very ill and in and out of the hospital. We have to do something. And my sister's youngest daughter, who had lupus at that time, she encouraged us, we need to do something. We need to start talking about, what's causing all of this. And so she was the one who initiated us starting the Family Health Initiative.
Wow. Now let's take them back because you've been living with diabetes for over 30 years. What was your journey like after that first diagnosis in 1992? And how did it affect your pregnancy, your lifestyle, your mindset, knowing that you've just been handed a diagnosis while you're pregnant?
Well, the unfortunate thing was the fact that I didn't know much about diabetes. I had never gotten a diabetic test. You know how they screen you. Well, they're supposed to. They should screen you for diabetes, but they don't. I've never had when I go for an exam or my annual physical, no one ever said, well, let's take a pre-diabetic test or let's just take a diabetic test. I've never had that. So when I was growing up, everyone would just say, Auntie so and so has diabetes or have sugar. That's what they would call it. They wouldn't say diabetes. They said had sugar. So it was quite a few people that had sugar, but they were seeming to be managing it okay. Basically, because most of my family was eating out of a fresh garden. you know. And so when they said diabetes, I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I just got sugar." I'm saying the same thing to everybody. I got sugar. But when I met Dr. Burns, and I'll never forget him because he was the doctor for people who had high risk pregnancies, and they referred me to him and said you will be going to see him from now on. And then he was the only medical person that really explained to me the seriousness of diabetes and to make sure that I follow everything that he said. He had me to meet the pharmacist, the nurse. We had to have conferences and things like that, so he would make sure I knew what I was doing, knew my medicines. Because I had to take insulin. It was extremely high, and I had put on a lot of weight. High blood pressure had set in. It was really, a high risk pregnancy, which I didn't realize it. And so with him explaining to me the seriousness, and this how he really got me, when he sat down with me with one of our conferences and he said, do you want to see your baby grow up? And I'm like, whoa, well, of course. And this is when he let me know that then you must do what I asked you to do And so he had me meeting the dietitians, everybody, and I had never experienced that before.
I know your family tried everything. I mean, just through the history of the illnesses, you talked about even traveling to Honduras for healing.
Mm-hmm.
So what did that season of searching teach you and your family about natural remedies, plant-based healing, and the power of hope?
Yes, it was definitely hope. Like I said, most of us have been studying it isolated, and that's when we decided to come together as a group, as a family, to bring all of the information and knowledge to help one another and being the advocate and the partner in your health journey. And so we knew that food. I mean, after all our research, we started realizing, well, it's basically seemed like it's the food that's causing people to be sick. And so we did a lot of research on that, teaching people how to read labels. We started reading labels. We started researching different things that they add to food, and that's really not food. One of the main things we found was the high fructose corn syrup, which your brain can't even manage and function and figure out what the heck it is because it's not food. And so we start discovering a lot of that. We start reaching out to herbalists and people who practice like Dr. Sabi and other doctors like that. Started reading their books and sharing it with others. And so we had a fundraiser for my niece, Tanya, and my sister, Rosetta, to go to Honduras to his Dr. Sabi's land there and where he would help people to heal. And they stayed there. I think it was about a week and a half, 2 weeks. And in that time, my sister, they had to, tell her to be very cautious because she even passed out one time because her blood pressure went down so low after being there, eating what he told them to eat. He gave them bitters and some other things that they ate and things like that, and the spring water, going into the hot springs and all that kind of stuff, the water and mineral water, I guess it was. And my niece, who was diagnosed with the lupus and had oxygen. She had to wear oxygen when she was here in the U.S. She didn't even use her medication while she was there, and didn't have any breakouts and anything. And she would report to us every day, and she was looking better and better every day. And then when she got back here, I said it was and we all say it was, the polluted food, the polluted air, and she had to end up getting right back on the oxygen, and taking the medication. So I said it definitely has to be food and environmental. That's what we all were saying. So you just have to help your doctor along with you. You got to be a partner with your doctor because they only see you like what, once a year, twice a year. And so you have to let them know what's going on with you and things like that. So we're
Wow.
really excited. And we still have our family health initiative now.
Awesome. Now that's a beautiful concept. And I think every family should look at something like that because you've coined a concept called generational health. And I think that's just a beautiful legacy to say, hey, we're going to break this cycle together. But then it was 2020, you found Akanna and eventually the
Yes.
full body reset. What was it about this program that felt different? What changes did you start seeing in your health?
I was introduced to Dr. Prince. And this was even before the finalization of the partnership with Akanna at that time. And he and Sharon gave me, Sharon actually did the bioscan for me and my husband. And when I got the results, I was shocked. I was like, are you kidding me? Especially the non-alcoholic fatty liver, which I had never heard of that. And so I started researching. We started doing more, and also going to the information that the medical team from Akanna was teaching us about the non-alcoholic fatty liver. And I was like, well, maybe that's why this diabetes is not improving. And then also looking at the medication that I recently found out with the ACE inhibitors. I just had a meeting with my doctor today about that and how it affects African Americans. And this is a medication that I had been on for years. And they did lower it while I was doing the detoxing, the 21-day detox cleanse, because it kept blood pressure going down, diabetes numbers going down, and so they had to lower it, so that because it had gotten going down so low. So and same with my husband. And so I was so satisfied and happy with it, and learning that that may be some of the causes, because I was doing the right thing. I stopped eating red meat about 30, 40 years ago. And I stopped eating all meat except fish in 2019. And I'm like, why are these numbers still like this? They were going down, but they were like fluctuating. And I'm finding out that it was, my liver, I had issues with my heart, and I found all of that out from the bioscan, but some of the tests that the doctors were giving me, they weren't picking up on any of this, which was a little, well, Dr. Prince tells us why. They're not as detailed as the bioscan to pick up those things, that energy and stuff. So I was excited.
So again, just the journey you've had, and it's remarkable. And I want to talk now, if we kind of move forward to March 2024, you looked at your scan, it showed a major reversal. Your heart and liver markers were better. In fact, I believe you said at some point your liver improved to, I don't know if you said blue or green, but what was going through your mind? You're seeing these measurable results. Your body is actually truly healing. And so for the first time in 30 years, so what are you thinking in this moment?
Really, what came to really mind when I saw in December, and because I prayed so much about the situations and conditions and things like that for me and for everybody else, and like why I'm not seeing the difference and improvement. But what came to mind was that, well, the first incident, it was like when I first started out doing the cleanses and things, it's like it was a scripture about putting new wine in old wineskins. And so I always come back to that because my body is being renewed, and that's what I had to learn. 30 years of being sick and out of balance, homeostasis, whatever they want to call it, liver out of whack, based on my bioscan, I'm seeing all these problems. The gastric system is messed up, the kidneys and all that kind of, messed up. And so it's not an overnight thing. That's what I thought about when I was saying I was trying to be patient, and I'm like, what's other people saying? They changing and seeing the blue and things like that. And I said, this has been yellow and red for I don't know how long, but I kept doing it. And that's what I want to encourage people to do. Don't stop. It didn't take, you didn't get into the conditions that and that we're in overnight. And so the change is not going to be overnight. And I realized too that I am actually I did actually make a lifestyle change, and so lifestyle, this is going to be over years, my lifestyle. And each year I see I'm getting better and better. And on April 28th, when I did my bioscan, all green in the liver. You should have seen me. I was crazy. I was thanking God, wow. And my heart, no yellows, all green, and only I think it was 4 blues. And that's mild abnormality. From red and yellow all the way to green and mostly green and now blue.
Wow.
And so I see it's a journey. It's not something where, well, I know people get discouraged because trust me, I've been there. What am I doing wrong? You know, but you need to continue to learn and apply, learn and apply. There's this old saying where they say, when you know better, you do better. No, a whole lot of people know better and don't do better because you hear this, you know. Um, and so you got to believe that it's going to eventually happen if you keep doing the right things. That's the key, and really deal with the lifestyle change. And it's hard at first. That first 21 days, child, of that juicing and stuff, that was not easy. But I was determined because of the generation. I wanted to be with my grandchildren. I have 7 now. And one great grandchild. I want to play with them. I want to be with them. I want to push them on the swing and run around the yard and things like that with them. And so that's my determination and that's my why. So you got to look at a reason why. And people have habits that they got to break. It's not gonna happen overnight. So I ain't see nothing happen. So I just stopped. You can't just stop
No.
in the middle of things. You gotta keep going. So I just want to encourage you and people to not to stop, to keep going and to share with your friends and family all this new knowledge. And it's not new knowledge. Let me change that. It's not new knowledge, but we've just acquired some of this knowledge. And so we need to just share. When you learn something, share it with someone else.
Wow. I mean, that's 4 generations, and that's a big why, to be there for your generations that are here and the future generations. And here you are, 73 years young, running marathons now,
Yes, yes. And
helping others.
I thank Tanya for that, and my family for that, because Tanya started the initiative. She's not with us anymore. And I lost my mom from a stroke. And my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, brother-in-law, everybody just was gone. And friends, 40s and their 40s and their 50s, 60s, just gone away from things that could have been saved them. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I mean,
The funerals were just, and the hospitalizations. And when my husband was diagnosed with cancer, one of the years, I think it was in 2015, it's been rough. And so, but there's a solution. So
yes.
I'm so glad that we were introduced to the solution, and as a family that we work together, to do this. It's definitely a family affair. And I encourage people. And so even if you're in a chair, and some people say, I can't even walk around in the living room. Well, but while you're in that chair, you if you can, lift up your legs, get them moving, doing something. But you can look at a recipe and say, let's eat this tonight. Let's try not eating meat one day a week. Try that, just one day a week. And then all the other days, cut it down, instead of eating 8 ounces of a steak, just eat 4.
Yeah.
And things like that. Take the small steps, but you got to take a step if you want to live and be with your family like we was designed to be, like we say in Genesis 1:29, the way God designed it.
And I know you have a saying that says motion is lotion. So and that's
Yes,
looking
yes.
I see all over you because you're just glowing and
Yes, motion is lotion, and that's, you gotta move. All of that plays a part. We always say it's 20-80, 80% food and 20% exercise. So you gotta do, even if you in a wheelchair, you can still, get your light weights and lift, even like Coach Ernestine would tell me all the time. She said, because I was dealing with the sciatica during the boot camp, and she would say, Ma, even if you can't lift the weight, just do the motions. She told me, just do the motions. And so I would do the motions. I'm looking forward to getting back with her boot camp again. But you were saying too, the second marathon, this would be my third half marathon.
Third, wow.
Third, yes, yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm in awe of that. And yes, I commit to doing one of these marathons and half marathons. I mean, you're my inspiration. So I gotta get my running shoes on and join you guys out there. But what would you
Yes.
say to that person who's listening, who feels like it's too late for them, or that their family history is too strong to overcome?
I'll tell you like what Dr. Prince told me. He said, as long as you have breath, there's hope.
Mm.
As long as you have breath, there's hope. And you can do it. Honest to goodness, you really can. You can do it if you want to. Okay?
Wow. That was absolutely powerful. So thank you so much. So we have a very special, private, but one-day offer. No one on social media is going to get it outside the people in our group. And I'm going to explain that offer in great detail and activate it during the live video. And for those who choose to take action, it will be available all the way through midnight. And so if you have not yet registered, make sure you go to www.fullbodyreset360.com. You'll get an invitation where you can join our Facebook group, but you must do that no later than 8 a.m. So we're going to see you on the inside. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, guys.